Hey guys, Kevin from Kevin's Micro Homestead Project, and I thought I'd give you an update video of what's been going on the project and talk about some of the elements that we're going to be using in the project this year. And also, we've had a lot of response about doing a workshop or a class, and so I want to touch on that a little bit so we can get a little more detail there. So come on in the shop and we'll have a little chat. So this is Action Central, the shop, or as my wife would put it, the lair of the mad scientist slash carpenter, whatever you want to call me. I don't know. I had a really great response on the last video I did about the RV and the possibilities of pulling some of the components out of an RV or a camper or camp trailer, whatever you got on your, you can get your hands on. A little controversial too, a little edgy for some people, I think, thinking about using those components, and it's all about comfort level and your own needs. So for some people that really appealed to it, and others, weren't so sure, and maybe that was, maybe lack of understanding or experience with those type of things. So, this whole thing is about, for me, it's kind of an experiment slash teaching experience, and I'm hoping I'm enlightening you with all these different thoughts and ideas, and creating some different thought processes and perspectives for you. So that's kind of my goal, and to really break it down so that you can, become more confident about the project that you want to do, and gain the understanding to pull it off. So I wanted to touch on a few different things today. I wanted to show you the shower pan that I'm going to be trying to design into this project. This is actually out of an RV. You can see this is designed and sized for that type of thing. Now, I actually took, this is I think it's 26 by 38 is the dimension on this, and I actually went to the manufacturer's site and looked this thing up to see what this, and here's the surround that goes around it if you want to pan inside there. I don't know if you can get a shot. It sits inside the tub, and you just apply it to the wall, so it's kind of a nice little gimmick. We get the view here. You can see there's even a little corner caddy for setting your shower items. So anyway, I went to the site of the manufacturer, and these are all the parts and components. You're looking at close to $400 to buy one of these new, and so I just saved a ton of money right here. And this is a fairly new pan that came out of another RV that I've got, and so I'm going to be using that. Here's the all-in-one handy-dandy shower and valve that goes here, and it actually sits right on the inside. Here's the holes for the water to come in, the hot and cold water, and it just sits right on there. And then the shower has a little bracket that you can hang it on the wall so that you can use it. And it's got a stop valve, so you can, if you want to do the, get wet, shut it off, soap up, rinse off, and save water, you can do that, or you can just keep it running, whichever. So that's something we're going to be trying to put in there. Another thing is I've got a bunch of my trusses sitting here that I've been building, and as soon as I get a little bit better weather and a helping hand from one of my sons, we're going to start installing the trusses on the top of the project. I'm going to pull this out so you can see it. If you can get that all in the view of the camera there, but that's what's called a gambrel roof line, kind of like a little barn. It's got a double rake to it, so that's a little bit different design than what most of the tiny houses are out there today. So I thought I'd do something a little different. I think this might give me a little more elbow room in the loft, so that was kind of one of the big reasons for deciding to go with that type of a roof truss. So that, and I went and got some more materials. I got a bunch of fiberglass insulation here that we're going to be using up inside the roof and in the walls, and just going to be doing some really interesting different things. I'll be pulling those components out of the RV and bench testing them, and once I get them out of there, you'll be able to see what they look like and how they work. But I want to push the edges. This is somewhat experimental. I really, my design is sort of getting forming as I go. I don't really have a set of plans or drawings or blueprints that I'm working off of. I'm just kind of, I want to push the edges of the tiny house design and kind of create some solutions that I see might solve some problems that people are voicing some concerns about. And the other thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the workshop. And I've had quite a bit of response wanting to know more about the workshop, and I was talking with my wife the other day about the timing of this, and I think the probably the second week of June is the target date we're looking at. It'll probably be a 2 or 3 day class, and I'm looking at about the $3.99 per person price point. And I think what I'm going to give you for that is an experience that I don't think is being offered out there right now in this community. And I want to give you a whole lot of hands-on, and I want to give you a whole lot of opportunity to explore the possibilities and explore the design and the form and function of a tiny house. I've got some really great examples that'll be here for you. I've got several different RVs that are different, very different designs, and you'll be able to crawl around in those and just, you know, get inside of them and see how they work and see what works and what doesn't, and see what size feels like and space feels like, along with the function of how those are built. Several of them have been modified extensively, so they have some on-grid and off-grid applications to them. They've been altered from the standard. So in fact, one of them's a 25-foot sailboat, and so you'll be able to get inside, you'll be able to peek through the hatches, you'll be able to dig around in these things and really see how they're put together. I will have a lot of the components for these out of these units so that you can see what they look like and figure out how you would design them into your specific needs. I'll have a couple different kinds of water heaters. One would be tankless, and the other one would be tank, propane and or electric. I'll have a lot of tools on hand. You know, if you want to learn how to use power tools, I've got plenty of tools here that we can work with, and you know, you can learn about tool selection, tool usage, proper usage, the tips on how to use these properly and get the most out of them. Also be able to, you know, do some cutting and some drilling and some hammering with these things. I want you to have hands-on experience here, because I think that's how you're going to gain the confidence to go home and tackle your own project. So, you know, you'll be able to pick up and use a worm drive skill saw and cut some wood. I mean, I want you to see what this is all about. You know, if we want to go over how to use a tape measure, we will go over and make sure that you are comfortable and understand the degrees and the markings on a tape measure. We can do that. I've got you know, a router right here. I've got several different chop saws, miter saws that you can work with, and this is the main tool I use to build these. We'll talk about how to design a truss and build it, and we can certainly put those together. I'll get this shower pan out of the way here. A little bit of background on me: I've been a general contractor for a number of years, and I specialize in flood and fire restoration. We do a lot of tearing up and rebuilding of homes that have had damage from floods and fires and hurricanes and you know, all kinds of things that have happened. We were actually just back on the East Coast this summer after the hurricanes hit. Was it Irene, I think? And we actually were called out by another company, my wife and I, because of our expertise, to oversee the restoration of 110 homes, as well as 3 grocery store sized commercial buildings that had anywhere from 2 to 6 feet of water run through them. And we made sure those, it was in excess of $500,000 worth of cleanup that we worked on, and we were watching crews in about 3 different states. That's kind of what we do when we're not playing with tiny houses. So here's a table saw. I'll let you play around with a table saw. Keep your fingers out of there. We'll talk about how to keep your fingers on your hand. This is a pretty big unit that you won't normally see. In fact, you won't see anywhere else in stores or anything, because that's not where this thing came from. If you want to use a framing nailer, we got those. You shoot some nails into some boards. We'll build a wall. We can, you know, do whatever you guys want to do. I mean, if you're looking for, I want to learn more about electrical, you know, we'll talk about putting a panel together and wiring plugs and switches in. We can do that. We can pull them apart and see how they go together. I've got both 110 and 220. We can see how a breaker goes into a panel and how you wire it in. We can talk about the power cords coming off of the tiny houses and RVs and how you hook those up. I've already rigged up a plug on the wall out here that we power our own RVs when they're on home base here, so we can keep them plugged in and running. There'll be solar panels and a solar system, so we've got a completely self-contained off-grid RV sitting here that I'll show you how that works. It's got about 350 or 70 watts of solar panels on it, and it can pretty well self-sustain. It's got a 100-gallon freshwater tank, and you know, you can see how being able to, you know, use these type of components from other industries in your tiny house will work to your advantage. So we'll talk about electrical, we'll talk about plumbing, we can talk about waste plumbing. I've got a composting toilet right here, and anybody that wants to try it out, take it for a test spin, you're welcome to do that. These are really handy, you know, solving the problem of having to have a septic system, you know, and being able to go anywhere. I got this thing in my shop. I got a nice hot wood fire going over here. I'll tell you what, that comes in handy. Keep you warm while you're sitting there. And the nice thing about having, you know, a wood shop and a composting toilet is I get to take the sawdust and use it. So I'm reclaiming that, and so you can see how that works, and you can decide whether you think that might be something you'd want to put in your tiny house, so you can get a first-hand example of that. So, you know, I just got a lot of really cool things in store. I got some things you haven't seen yet that I'm getting ready to reveal to the tiny house industry that I think are going to change the scope of things a little bit as far as design, and I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't want to give it away, but I will tell you that when I get ready to do it, it's going to be on Kent Griswold's Tiny House blog is where we're going to reveal that, so I wanted to throw that in and mention him. He's been a great resource for us all. So just a couple of thoughts here, and when we get ready to do the trusses, I'll get back on you know, task and get this top of this house put together so we're dried in and we got all the weather out, and then we'll start working on the inside. So until next time, I'll see you soon.